Okay, question 8. Points E, F, G, and H lie on circle M. The radii segment ME, segment MF, segment MG, and segment MH are drawn in, as well as the chords segment EF and segment GH. Omar is told that angle EMF is congruent to angle GMH. The distance of EF is equal to 2x minus 3, and the distance of GH equals 10x minus 43. He has asked to find the length of segment GH. What steps could Omar take to solve this problem? What is the length of segment GH? Select the answer choices that correctly answers both questions. Okay. Since these central angles are the same, we would go to the endpoints of that central angle right here, and the endpoints of that central angle right here, and that creates this arc right here. So again, the central angle endpoint and endpoint. So this arc, we know that central angles have the same measure as the arc lengths that they cut off, so that means that these two arc lengths are congruent. We also know that chords that cut off the same arc length are congruent, so we do know that GH is congruent to FE because they cut off congruent arc lengths. So some of you might be jumping to the point, well then could I just say that central angles that have the same measure also have chords that have the same measure? Yes, that is correct. We could jump there. So let's see. Since all central angles have congruent chords, he should set the length of segment EF equal to that of GH. So 2x minus 3 is equal to 10x minus 43. The value of x is 5, so GH is equal to 7. So, since the congruent central angles have congruent chords, he should set the length of segment EF equal to segment GH, which is 2x minus 3 equal to 10x minus 43, and the value, I feel like this is a duplicate. Since congruent central angles have congruent chords. Okay, here's the key. This one says that they're being kind of tricksy. We have that congruent central angles have congruent chords. This one does not have congruent. It says all central angles have congruent chords, which is not true, because I could have a central angle instead of this MH coming to here. I could have a central angle here, and you can visibly see that this is not the same angle, and this distance right here is not the same distance as that. So, key word, all and congruent. So, that is the catch. I'm not going to do any algebra. I can, just to show you. Or you could use the algebra calculator by Symbol Lab, and it'll show us through the steps. 2x minus 3 is equal to 10x minus 43. If we hit enter, it tells us the steps. Add 3 to both sides, so then it shows you adding 3 to both sides. Simplify, so then they're subtracting 10x from both sides. So then you have the negative 8x is equal to negative 40, and divide both sides by negative 8. So it does step you through the steps. If you have questions on the steps and you are wanting to check if you had made a mistake in those steps, where that mistake was made. So x equals 5, and some of you might be saying, okay, well that's all fine and dandy, but how did they find the length of GH? So we know that the length of GH is equal to 10x minus 43. So if we know x is 5, we're going to come over here. 10 is being multiplied by that x. just so we are familiar with that. So we're going to substitute it in. So 10 times 5 is 50, minus 43, that equals 7. So that is how they found the length of GH, is they substituted the x into the equation that they had set for the distance of GH.